Only 10 more days to sign up for the $5 million free roll in Vegas and qualify. I've only got like 7 more seats to give away. So if you want to do that, click the link in the description below. It'll only take 3 minutes and try to snipe your way into a golden passport. So hopefully I'll see you guys in Vegas. Winners are being decided in only 10 days. You get a chance to win a Rolex. You get a chance to win a $2,500 seat. So many things you could last minute back into, and I hope to see you guys in Vegas.
Before we start, I just want to give a big thank you to WPT Global for inviting me out here. They just entered Taipei, so anyone local to the country can play. If you're interested, there's a deposit bonus in the link below, but they also sponsor this Shove All-In stream, the only poker show in Taiwan, and honestly, the production quality is pretty amazing and the operations look really cool from my visit. They put a lot of effort into the stream, so if you like what you see from this video, their YouTube channel is also linked down in the description below. So let's get the poker underway. Everybody starts off here with 2 million chips in this time-limited tournament. 2 million chips roughly equals about 6,000 USD, and we're playing 3K, 6K blinds to start. So right off the bats, I'm completely unfamiliar with the playstyles here in Asia, so gonna have to adjust as the game goes, but one of the first shuffles of the night, I peel pocket 8s from under the gun, raise it up to 18,000. Everyone folds to the button player who ends up calling, and we're gonna go heads up to a flop of Jack 7 deuce 2 hearts. Here, I don't think Jack high flops should hit my opponent so much, so overall, I think it's a good flop. Start things off with a check, and my opponent fires out 18,000. Maybe it's all in my head here, but facing such a small bet like this and versus an opponent who may stab too much on the flop feels like it can't be too bad to check raise and go for it. So my hand favors from getting a lot of protection from overcards or draws and such, so I put in a check raise to 60,000. And my opponent quickly here makes the call, so time to figure this one out on the fly. The turn comes the 4 of spades, brings in 2 flush draws, and I think continuing with my specific hand doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's not the kind of hand that wants to just pump more chips into the middle, especially on a draw-heavy board like this. So I opted for a check, and now my opponent fires out 180,000, overbetting the pot. And all right, well, now I think I've got my hands tied here. I don't think he's bluffing too often, but if he is, it must be with a lot of equity. The issue with my hand is that it blocks all those semi-bluffs. I have an 8, I have an 8 of hearts. I kind of block a lot of the 10-8 and 9-8 of heart combinations as well. So I just let it go and move on, chipping down to start, but luckily make a good fold as I was up against Jack 7 somehow. A few minutes later, we get into a dicey one. Under the gun raises up to 15,000. Hijack calls, cutoff calls, and I want to see a flop with 8-6 of diamonds in the small blind. Big blind completes as well, and we're off to a flop of a 10-9-7 rainbow. Well, things are getting pretty spicy here, flopping a straight multi-way, and since this game is all about trying new things, I do something weird and lead out for 1 big blind of 6,000. I'm very curious as to how players will react to this here in Asia, and well, obviously very good to just do something weird with a very strong hand. With the second nut, surprisingly, I see a lot of passive action and only get 3 players to call around. Was really hoping for a raise, to be honest. But we're off to a turn which comes the 4 of clubs. Backdoor flush draw comes in, but overall a total brick. And given the passive action, I want to keep pumping chips into the middle and just get value. And honestly, my hand needs also a lot of protection. Assuming it's the best hand right now for sure, I go for an overbet of 133,000. There are lots and lots of hands I get value from, and clearly that's the case as I don't get a single fold. Wow. Everybody here must have connected in some way, so I'm just hoping for some sort of clean river and win a big pot early on this stream. With over 600,000 in the middle, the river is the queen of clubs. Oh, come on. That is not the clean river I wanted. I mean, so many things get there, specifically the flush. And here we go. I decide to slow down, stop putting chips in the middle as I'm out of position against 3 other opponents. I check, action checks to the under the gun player who fires out a massive bet of 500,000. The cutoff then goes into the tank and goes all in. I have a pretty easy decision to fold my straight now, and everyone ends up folding. As you can see, the nut flush is going to win a very big one early on. So far, a lot of action at this table, a few minutes starting up, but no winning hands for me so far. But then an hour later, we get into another spicy hand with 6-4 of spades in the hijack. I raise it up to 18,000. The cutoff makes the call. Then Nevin gets even spicier to 3-bet to 100,000. Look, you can look at this decision and be like, okay, just easy fold. But I must say, there's a lot of merit to calling here. We're playing in position against a 3-better. We're playing extremely deep stacked, and I have hands that don't really connect with my opponents very much. I'm perceiving my opponent to have a lot of very strong hands, like from 10s to aces or even high cards like ace king, ace queen. And very rarely is he going to connect with 6-4 suited here. So I'm going to make the call, and the cutoff ends up folding. So we're going to go heads up to this 3-bet pot, which comes queen, 8-5, 2 hearts, and a spade. Wow, what a flop for me here with a gutter and backdoor flush draw. Nevin starts off with a check, and I think most of the time I'm going to have to tread cautiously, but my hand just seems way too good to not bet. I mean, I have a gutter, and I only have 6 high, so getting any folds from any overcards would be a huge win. I bet close to half the size of the pot to 115,000, and you can see here Nevin is not going to go anywhere with just a pair and makes the call. Not thinking my opponent is going to be super trappy here with sets or overpairs, but thinking he's going to play a lot of like his 8x or pocket 9s through jacks or even some trappy overpairs in this line. So we're off to a turn which comes the board pairing queen of spades, which is a beautiful card to see. It improves me to a combo draw, and I also think I'm going to have a lot more queen x as played than Nevin. So definitely a good card to continue barreling off again as he checks it over to me. Now, I just have to figure out what size I want to bet, and I'm definitely going to go big. It's just a question of how big. With 450,000 in the middle, and I've got about 1.4 million back, I go with the size of 350,000, so I can plan a jam on the river if I brick. But I really just want to put a lot of pressure on an 8 or just middling cards to be put into a very tough spot. But Nevin with just a 5, he didn't come here to fold. Bottom pair comes along and makes the call once again. So thinking now in my shoes, I'm going to need some help in the river. Deuce of spades, bink. Oh my goodness, it feels like it's been forever since I've hit a big hand and hit a draw. And it honestly feels like it's been forever since I've said the word bink as well. Here, I don't need to bluff off my entire stack, and I can just comfortably be all in when Nevin checks it over to me. I Hollywood, take some time to pretend like I have an action, and then pull the all-in trigger. And now we just wait here, as Nevin is put into a tough spot, and I clearly would fire off with a good amount of bluffs here as well. So I definitely don't fault him for thinking so long about it with any pair. He uses a few time banks, and once again, one of the rare times I'm rooting for a call when I'm all in, and he sticks it in. Wow, let's go. I finally get paid showing the flush, and very, very lucky to hit, because I assume if I bricked it, Nevin was going to call as well. So it looks like the tides are turning. I'm starting to run good again. I win a monster pot to double up in this game. Win a 3.3 million chip pot, which roughly equates to almost $10,000 US. Man, it feels good. It's been a very long time since I've scooped up this many chips.
Guys, Black Friday sales are among us, and one of the best Black Friday sale on the market is pokercoaching.com. They're giving away 70%, the biggest sale of the entire year, for their brand new course, Tournament Domination. And honestly, come to think of it, given my past results, it's a nice reminder for myself as well. I'm going to join you guys and sign up because I need some help. We've got the best coaches in the game, and it's the best training site if you want to crush small stakes cash games and tournaments as well. So yeah, I'm going to definitely refresher on the poker side of things and learn from the best coaches in the game right now. So it's pokercoaching.com. Click the link in the description below. Take advantage of their massive Black Friday sale, and I'll be with you guys trying to learn how to get better at poker.
And now, after 2 hours of play, the blinds go up slightly since it is a tournament after all. Now we're playing 4K, 8K for the rest of the night. In early position, I look down at pocket 10s, raise it up to 20,000, and I get Pete next to act to make the call, and we're going to go heads up to a flop of 8-6 deuce rainbow. Here, I'm out of position, and I imagine I can actually bet pretty big here or check. Pretty 50-50 on both of those options at the moment, but I leaned on checking to play a little bit greedier so I can check raise my opponent and get more value. But sadly, Pete is wise enough to check this one back. When the turn is the ace of clubs, very annoying card as I can no longer be as aggressive as I'd like to be here. Action's going to go check, check. And the river queen is going to really kill the action for me as it's another overcard to my pair. I guess sometimes I'm just going to check and lose, but check, and I win versus pocket sevens. Little annoyed here, obviously. If I weren't so greedy on the flop, I could have made a flop bet and made this pot a little bit bigger, but overall, gonna win another one. In about 2.5 hours in, the tightest player at the table in early position raises it up to 20,000. Cutoff now decides to 3-bet him to 75,000. So a lot of action going on in this hand. And then I peel ace king offsuit in the small blind. Wow. I mean, I already did not feel comfortable in this spot. And like I said in the beginning, I want to listen to my gut. The early position player has been extremely tight. And the cutoff has 3-bet him, who also hasn't put that much money into the middle without some strong hands. And I think ace king here is just going to shrivel up against both of these opponents. Like, I still have to play this hand out of position if either of them call. And I don't think I've ever done this before, ever in my life. But I just muck ace king offsuit without putting any money into the middle, trying to trust my instincts, and I thought I could very likely be dominated, but my read is still kind of right in the fact that I don't have a great hand versus these two guys. The hand ends up playing out naturally itself, and ace king loses. Pocket 10 ends up winning here, but I just wanted to showcase this. I never really make many tight, nitty folds like this. But similarly good situation, and I guess I'm kind of glad results-wise that it all ended up working out. Shortly after that hand, we're going to play some more hands now. The hijack raises up to 30,000. It's a really big size, and I see ace-jack offsuit on the button. I'm never folding here, of course, but I'm still very suspicious of this large 3-bet size. What does this mean? I'm not sure, but I decided to make the call. Now action onto the small blind who goes into the tank, and he ends up 3-betting to 150,000, another big size himself. Okay, I guess now my decision is clear. I'm going to get bullied off of my ace-jack here. I don't think this is strong enough to see a flop in position, and to make another disciplined fold, and guys, I did it. First time in vlog history, I show 2 consecutive hands in a row where I fold pre-flop. Who would have thought? It has been done. In the next clip, we see the tightest player at the table again today, raising it up to 20,000 from early position. Action folds back to me with ace-7 offsuit. I mean, I already don't really love my hand, but it seems way too disrespectful to fold this from the big blind, so I guess I'm going to make the call. And the flop comes 8-6-6 2 spades. Board is paired, and having a 7 in my hand gives me a lot of opportunities. I check it to him, and my opponent actually ends up checking this one back. Now we're off to a turn, which is the 4 of spades. I have a lot of hands here on this board that would want to lead out something, but not this one in particular, sitting with ace high. So I check it to my opponent, and then he fires about 25,000, which is roughly half the size of the pot. I don't really want to call here, honestly. Like, I'm already uncomfortable, but with the straight draw that I have and ace high that's supposedly an overcard to hit a pair, let's just call and give some action and see a river card. The river is the jack of hearts. It's not the card for me, sadly. I check once again, hoping to get the showdown, but I'm not expecting to win this ever. Then my opponent fires out a pot-sized bet for 110,000. I mean, I can convince myself in a world where it seems suspicious, but I definitely don't have anything valuable to bluff catch with, so I make another fold. For one of the last hands of the night, the session is winding down. The hijack raises up to 22,000, and I pick up pocket 3s in the cutoff next to act. I'm very happy to make the call here and set mine, of course, but now Pete on my left 3-bets to 90,000, ruining all the fun. But now we actually have some life to see a flop because a small blind cold calls, which is very surprising to see. And when the hijack player folds back onto me for 90,000, it's a pretty hefty price to pay to hit a set, but let's gamble. I feel like I have to get in there. I make the call, and we see a flop of 7-7-5 rainbow. It's not a 3, but honestly, it's a pretty good flop for me overall. Safe to say that there's no ace is a big win. And when action checks to the button, who c-bets 100,000, I imagine he's going to be betting everything here. And a lot of his hands will consist of 2 overcards. So when the small blind folds, now back onto me, I think that's best to try to put pressure and target those hands. Like folding out a hand like Queen 10 suited he might 3-bet with would be a huge win, as he has 2 overcards and a lot of equity versus my hand. So here I decided to check raise to 350,000, and to my surprise, he actually folds ace king. Didn't expect ace king to be the hand to fold, as he usually has 2 clean overcards, but hey, I'm happy to take this win down. Don't have to work any harder to win this pot. And shortly after that, our 4 hours of playing is up. We take a very nice, wholesome group picture to wrap up the game. Once again, big thank you to WPT Global for the invite and the Shove All-In stream for having me on. If you can see from this video, the quality is great. You can check out their streams on their YouTube channel in the description below.
All right, back to the hotel, and I am freaking alive. Oh my God. First off, I want to say thank you to WPT Global for the invite into this game. They're the reason why I had this opportunity to play on the stream here in Taipei, Taiwan. And it was a lot of fun, honestly, playing in a brand new environment, playing against people who are speaking a language I don't know, but I probably should know because it's part of my heritage to a certain degree. Anyways, I want to give a big thank you to them. WPT Global actually just got into Taiwan, which is perfect. So anyone that's from Taiwan can actually play. Anyways, let's get to the results. So I was in for 2 million chips, which was about like a 200,000 Taiwanese dollar buy-in. Out for 3.2 million roughly chips, which converted with an ICM chop, converted to 321,000 Taiwanese dollars. So in for 200,000 Taiwanese dollars, out for 320 Taiwanese dollars, and roughly that profit in USD is about $3,600, which is a good win. So roughly I was in for 6K, out for 9,600, roughly, give or take, let's say. So overall, I won. Very happy with it. Thank you for watching the video, and hopefully more wins to come. Fingers crossed. I'll see you next time. Peace.